Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Next to the Floor. My name is Harrison. I'll be your host for the most today. I was supposed to tell Gary that we were getting started, and I completely forgot to say anything because that's what I do. But Gary, we're live.
Woo! We're live.
Hello.
I'm glad I wasn't doing something dumb.
Yeah, well, I like to keep you on your what's the word? Toes. Like to keep
I,
you on your toes.
I prefer to be on the balls of my feet. Don't want to break my toes.
Aha! Get it? Cause
We're dancers.
cause we're dancers. How are you today, Gary?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. A little bit a little bit stiff. Not stiff. I just I need to get used to stretching after I'm done dancing. Well,
You're
not used to. I'm already used to doing that. I just need to be more vigilant
about
about.
actually doing it. Here I am pruning all of my plants. I've got a whole boatload of more plants now. They're kind of taking over. I'm now a plant dad. Officially a plant dad.
I love it. I love it. Are you taking care of all those plants, or are they just like shriveling up and dying?
Okay. I'm not going to be called out on my own podcast here, so I'm going to kindly ask you to, just, shut up or whatever. I think they're doing okay. I mean, I had to go through and repot a couple of these guys, and I repotted a whole bunch of my herbs in my herb garden. Because this guy that's up here grew so wildly that he, yes, this is a he, that he was all roots, no soil, just roots, and I couldn't have that. Couldn't have that happen. So, I took him apart, split it in half. He's now right here behind me, hanging out up here on this bookshelf. You can kind of see the triplet over there in the window doing his thing. And then, my herb garden is happening. So that's fun.
I mean, I can't see. I can only imagine because I can't see
Well,
your
all
camera,
of
but
so this water bottle is in the way, but right down here I've got green onions, cilantro, and oregano.
ah,
Up there I have basil, rosemary, something else, sage, and mint. And I'm working my butt off to keep everything alive, and it's really stressing me out.
I feel like you're a good plant dad, and you'll be able
I'm
to
trying.
keep you know them alive as long
Well,
as you got the sun, right?
yeah,
And some water.
that's the two main things. And then I've got they're called purple shamrocks. They're these really pretty, like, they look like butterflies almost, hanging out behind my camera, and those guys are doing the dang thing. Um, oh, Marcy and Charlie, thank you so much for liking the stream. Anywho, so it's been a couple of weeks. I apologize, everyone, for the sudden, I guess, lack of content. Things have been, as we say every single episode. Oh, Next to the Floor liked this video. I forgot that you have the ability to do that. That's awesome. As we mentioned pretty much every single episode since the start of the year, that things have been picking up very steadily in the studio, which is very exciting. Gary has liked the video. That's great. I guess I'll do it as well. There we go. Let's all just like this video. We'll see all the notifications that pop up. But, things have very steadily started picking up in the studio, which is great and all. but because of that, you know,
Busy, busy,
we are
busy.
very busy. I think we mentioned it last time, but we're in like the height of like the most overwhelming wedding season that's ever existed on the entire planet because we've got, you know, everyone and their cousin apparently getting married. Everybody who wasn't married or was trying to get married last year, plus everybody who's trying to get married this year, has, decided that they want to take dance lessons. So that's great for business.
Quite literally, everyone and their mom and their grandmother
Our
are currently in the studio.
You get 1,000%. It's a bit overwhelming. I know I was mentioning this to you earlier today, but like this coming week, as a staff, Catherine, one of our instructors, she is out of town for half of the week. I only work at the Boston studio 3 days because I'm down in Weymouth the other days. So we basically have like a staff of 4 instructors, and we are teaching almost 170 some odd lessons between like 4 effectively full-time schedules.
Yeah, I mean it's bringing in money, I
Yeah,
guess.
so that's good. We're making money. We're making the dollars, which is really exciting. But there's not a whole lot of time to do anything anymore.
But there's always time for more dancing.
There's always time for more dancing. Gary and I think we mentioned this last episode, but Gary and I are competing in a same-sex competition when we go down to Florida in September, which I'm really excited about. We practiced earlier today and put together, I think they're actually pretty cool routines.
They're super fun. No, they are cool routines. They're super fun to dance. They're very rhythmic. They're the musicality. It's nice.
Speaking of, you have to send me those videos so that way I can watch them. And, if, leave what's the word I'm trying to use? Leave a comment below. Leave a comment here in the chat. If you want to see a little bit of our practice, really it's just shenanigans. It's me counting loudly and breathing heavily, not really ever doing any of the footwork at all.
Me, I'm just like my feet. I don't know what my feet are doing. I do have an idea of what my feet are doing, but like maybe watch my like shoulder action or something.
Yeah, pay more attention to what's happening up here than what's going on with the feet. But I guess the topic of today, there are a couple things I wanted to talk about because, as you may or may not know, today is it was the closing ceremonies of the Olympics. And if I'm not mistaken, I think the U.S. actually like eked out an overall win. Yeah.
Did we?
Like in the 11th hour, the United States came in first place overall in the Olympics with 39 gold medals, first in golds, and then a total of 113 medals overall.
Nice.
Yeah, second place was China, third place was Japan, followed by Great Britain, the Russian Olympic Committee, Australia, Netherlands, France, Germany, Italy. So we kicked butt, took names. So that's really exciting. Yay, good job.
I didn't watch the Olympics. I was hoping we'd come in third, so United States would literally be that meme of third place guy with the champagne.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's basically who we are, with or without. Like, I don't know that we need, like, a meme to kind of like establish who we are just as an idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, America's kind of the jerks of the world. It is what it is. But so we're going to talk a little bit about the Olympics, because there were some really awesome moments that happened over the course of the Olympics. I know you didn't watch them, so I'm just going to narrate what I thought were some really awesome moments. Leave a comment in the comment section what your favorite Olympic moment was from this year. And then we're going to talk a little bit about, a topic that's been really pressing. There are actually a couple of topics that have been really pressing and bothering me over these last couple of weeks. And I'm glad that we finally have an opportunity to talk about some stuff. But let's start with the Olympics. So, highlights from this year Olympics. This was, I think, a big year for like firsts.
It was a huge year for firsts too, and I feel like it's because people are less scared to really just do them and not really care about what other people think.
Yes, and
You know,
for everyone's own edification, hi Maddie. We're talking about firsts as in like not gold medals. It was also a huge year for firsts. There's a first place in every single event, but it was a huge year for like first time things happening. So oh yes, there was, let's see, start in the beginning. It was the first time a Black woman has won the wrestling competition, female or ladies wrestling, which was really exciting. Josh, quick, what was her name?
Wrestler?
The wrestler.
I don't know.
Oh, she looks like a wrestler though. But she kicked ass, and then you've got to watch this interview from her at the very end. She was like a mess, as you should be, when you win the gold. But let's see, I can tell you. Her last name, Mensa Stock.
yeah,
Tamira. Yeah, Tamira. And she was so cute with her little afro poofs. Loved her. But she was the first Black woman to win a gold medal as for women's wrestling, and then the second woman from the US to win since like 1958 or something.
Nice.
This also was the first year that skateboarding was an Olympic event.
And I can't believe I didn't watch that. Well, I'm super busy. Really upset I didn't get a chance to watch that. I'm gonna have to go back and watch that because, like, I don't know. A lot of people know out there who I grew up with. I grew up skating.
That makes sense. That follows. That I believe. So that was really fun. If you do get to watch it, it was really, really cool. I am a firm believer. Yeah, go ahead. They did. They had street. They had probably a half pipe or a bowl event. And probably something else really cool. But I will say, after watching that event in particular, that skateboarders are a completely different breed of human being. Like, the amount of nonsense they put their bodies through and then just like get up and are like, whatever, don't care, is wild to me. But
Oh, okay, here it is. There's two skateboarding events held at the Olympics:
Oh.
street and park.
street and
Okay,
park. Street was a lot more like rails and stairs and things. Ooh. And then, then it was more flips and tricks. And then park was much more like half pipes, bowls, and things,
And all that jazz.
and all that jazz. Me.
I mean, I'm not gonna assume you didn't skate back then. First of all, I'm gonna ask: did you experiment with skateboards?
I am familiar with the concept of the skateboard. I have flirted with the concept of skateboarding, and I was never good at it. I was much more a inline and or roller skate, and then snowboarding.
All good sports. I love it. I love it. Okay, so if you did, what type? I think, would you be like a street boarder or like a park, like a vert?
That's a great question. I feel like I probably would be a little bit more like park over street, because looking at, it's all about what looks more fun. So like the street course was very flat. Yeah, there were different levels, but it was all like stairs, and I already have a very tenuous relationship with stairs, and then combine that with a skateboard, I feel like it's not a good match for me. But park just looks like fun stuff. So I would be a park kind of gal.
You know what? That adds up. That adds up. You know, like you can't be afraid of heights if you're a park.
Oh, well, I wouldn't say that I am afraid of heights per se. There's a whole story about it's not an irrational fear at all. But speaking of, okay, we're going to go into this. My fear of heights as it pertains to Ferris wheels. Yeah. Okay, so let's break down the story really quick. Harrison is afraid of Ferris wheels. Any other heights, I can totally handle. Roller coasters, sign me up. You want to blast me out of the station at 100 and some odd miles an hour, shoot me up a hill that's 400 feet, and then drop me down 90 degrees on the other side. Absolutely, I'm there for that journey. But Ferris wheels are like one of the worst inventions ever on the entire planet. Also, my husband is laughing at me, so I'm going to kindly tell you to shut up until I finish this story. Okay, so it all began when I don't know how old I was, and I don't know if y'all have ever seen the movie Beverly Hills Cop 3, featuring Eddie Murphy as Axel Foley, the police officer. The very opening scene of that movie, and I'm going to try to pull it up here because it was, obviously life-altering for me. But the very opening scene of Beverly Hills Cop is at Wonderworld, which is an amusement park, I guess, a imaginary amusement park somewhere. And what happens is he rescues these two kids from it's called the Spider, but it's basically a giant Ferris wheel. And he rescues these two kids because they're on the thing, and then all of a sudden the wires snap. They shoot the scene and like wires snap, and then the kids are like dangling, and then all of a sudden he saves them, and then the car that they're in, it's like a little steel cage, goes falling to the ground, and he just barely rescues them before they die. And that affected me as a child.
Traumatized you.
I would say it very much did. The movie came out in 1994, and so I was 5 or 6 years old when I saw that, and I said to myself, as a young child does, Ferris wheels are not for me. So cut to my senior year of high school. This is, obviously many moons later, 2007. We just graduate. My best friends, Sarah and Haley, we're having a great time. We decide, let's go to one of the county fairs. So the town that we lived in, it's in Otsego County, New York. We're right next to a couple of other counties, like right on the border of like 3 other counties. So we decided to go to one of the county fairs, a town over, just because, we just graduated. Let's live our best lives. County fair, upstate. So we go. We ride all the... Yeah, so we go. We ride all the rides. We're having a blast. Great old time. And then they're like, it's the end of the night. They're like, hey, they're going to do fireworks. Let's get on the Ferris wheel. And I stopped them and I'm like, that's a cute idea and all, but I'm not trying to live that life. Like we can go back on the Gravitron.
Is that the one that spins around?
Yeah, it's like the UFO one where he's like that, or like the Scrambler. We can go on all these other ones. I can do those again. And they were like, no, let's get on the Ferris wheel. And so I'm obviously protest a whole lot. And then finally I'm like, okay, fine, shut up. They guilted me in because, it's our senior year and we're graduating and going separate directions. And what if we never see each other again? And I was like, oh, fine. So we get on the Ferris wheel. Bobo, the circus clown, or whatever the carney's name who happened to work there, sits us down in front of, like, in the same car with this couple who is obviously on a date and obviously not having a good time at all. So Sarah and Haley, they're sitting right here next to me. I'm on the edge because they force me to be on the edge so that way I can look out over, because they're the worst. Real friends. So we get all the way up to the top, and all of a sudden, and mind you, we're going up, Sarah and Haley giggling, having a gay old time, a couple in front of us not having it. We get up to the top, and I hear somebody scream. And I was like, okay, what's going on? And I look over the edge, foolish, and I see smoke.
Oh, you messed up.
That's where I messed up. I see smoke coming up from the engine of the Ferris wheel. So I go into panic mode and I say, the Ferris wheel's on fire. Sarah and Haley start dying of laughter because of just the sheer irony of the whole entire situation. The couple across from us obviously would much rather be dead than spend another minute on this Ferris wheel. And I'm kind of thinking the same thing. So I'm thinking, this is it for me. Here I am at, whatever the hell county fair this is in Delhi, New York. I just graduated from high school and I can see, the Chiron now on the local news at 9:00 saying like, local high school student dies in a tragic Ferris wheel accident at the Delhi County Fair.
But did you die?
Oh, obviously. Okay, so first of all, shut up. Second, so, I'm up there dying. I'm actually dying. My soul has left my body, and I'm thinking, this is it. It's just like Beverly Hills Cop 3. But there's no Axel Foley, and we're not at Wonderworld. We're at frickin' whatever. So Bobo, the circus clown, or whatever, is down, having to manually pull all the cars around this whole entire thing because the engine's on fire. And we are at the very top, like the apex of this Ferris wheel. So when I say like this thing is on fire and it's a minute before we actually get down to the ground. So I was not a very happy camper. That was the day that I almost died. And I since then have not trusted a Ferris wheel ever since.
I feel that story.
That or those swings. The swings where you like sit in the chair and then like it. Yeah, I do not.
Those are fun. I feel like those are fun because it's just like you feel like you're flying.
Well, okay,
Close your eyes.
maybe if it's like a couple of feet above the ground. But there's one at Six Flags in New England in Ashwaubenon, Massachusetts, that they you sit in the thing, and then they take you up like 100 feet in the air, and then just fling you around, and you know that's a bit much. That's a bit.
I've seen those like really, really high ones. It's just like, okay, all right, listen, you don't go how you can go like to where like, you know, just above my head.
Right. Let's keep my feet, like, I enjoy the fact that I can touch the ground with my feet when I sit in those little swingy things. Like, even when they lift us off the ground slightly, I can still touch the ground. I'm a-okay with that fact. You know? Any higher than that, that's a lot. That's a lot. It's a lot. But all of this to segue into, well, what we were supposed to be talking about, which is the Olympics and firsts in the Olympics. So
Before you segue,
yeah.
That's the exact same story I have with my fear of boats. I mean, I'm not scared of boats. It's not gonna be a long story. I'm just gonna.
Oh, you're afraid of boats?
I'm not afraid of boats.
Oh.
I'm not afraid of boats, but I'm just saying, like, you won't catch me out in the middle of the ocean, like, for an extended period of time on a boat, because you know, once upon a time I saw the Titanic, and end of that story. So.
Yeah, I dig that, and also, you know, you're not. I mean, unless it's necessary for me to be that far out in the ocean on a boat, you're not going to catch me out there either. One, because like I'm already nauseous thinking about it. Two, there's nothing out there for me to see. And three,
a whole bunch of water.
Like, what happens when, you know, inevitably you end up in like Titanic 2.0? What happens? That's all I'm asking. And you know, I know that I'm a strong swimmer. I swam in high school. I still swim every so often. I hate swimming. Least favorite activity. That's a lie. That's not my least favorite activity. But it's definitely something that I don't enjoy doing as much anymore, mostly because I swam and competed in swimming in high school. But
kind of ruined it for you.
Yeah, it very much did. That's a long way to swim. Like, they take you out far enough where you can't see the shore, and then what?
Yeah, like, where are you supposed to go?
What do? You just, like, hang out? Well, so first, because speaking of swimming, we're going to get back into the Olympics here, because it was a really fun story of the Olympics during the swimming situation. But there was a story, I forget how long ago it was, a couple of years ago, where there was this ship that had capsized in the middle of the ocean. And basically the shipping company or whatever it was, like, had contacted the local authorities saying, like, hey, we have the ship that, like, capsized, there was a distress signal, can you go, like, help out or whatever. So they go and find that the ship has sunk to the bottom of, like, the ocean, basically. Fortunately, they weren't that far out, so, like, you know, the bottom of the ocean is still, like, 100 some odd feet down, but it's not like, you know, Marianas Trench bottom of the ocean. And so they go, and at this point the ship has been capsized for upwards, I think, of like 3 days. So they're not expecting to find any survivors on this boat. So, you know, the search team, they go down or whatever, and they find this one guy, like the only sole survivor of this capsized situation, chilling in this capsized boat in the kitchen. Like, it's filled with water, so he's not having a good time. But just literally chilling in this boat underwater. He's got his, like, a air pocket or whatever. For 3 days. 3 days. Underwater, bottom of the ocean. And they rescued him. He's fine now, so that's good.
How did they know that like he was down there?
They didn't. They didn't hear from any of the crew. They just know that the ship had capsized because there was a distress signal. So as they were going through, like, there was a little mini documentary they did. They like interviewed the rescuers, and they were like, yeah, as we were down there, we obviously, like, in various parts of the ship found like the dead bodies of the people who were there, and then they were going through, and they got to the kitchen and didn't see anything because it's pitch black. There are no lights. And
You're underwater. Right?
Yeah. The guy who was down there, like, reached out and grabbed one of the rescuers. No, he didn't eat everyone else. Fortunately, he was only down there for 3 days, so he was able to, like, live on. He was also a very large guy. He was not a tiny man. He was like a big dude. Excuse me.
Buoyancy going on.
Yes.
Got the extra calories, burn off that fat,
But he, like, reached out and grabbed the rescuer, and the rescuer was like, yeah, this guy, all of a sudden I feel somebody grab me, and he was like, I panicked and instantly went for my weapon. Because he had, like, a knife, because, I mean, like, I would have stressed out too, like, as that rescuer,
I probably would have stabbed him.
Yeah, I mean, fortunately he had the sense to, like, remember that he's in a rescue situation and that they're at the bottom of the ocean. So
I would have been like, "Nah, it's a squid. It's a squid."
Knocked him out real quick. So, moral of this story is A, don't go out into the middle of the ocean. B, I'm probably not the best person to rescue you because I might punch you in the face. So, but circling all the way back to where we began our conversation with the Olympics, one of the most exciting moments was, I forget what, oh gosh, I should do my research before I start talking about things. Huh? The swimmer from Tunisia, who won gold in the, I think it was the 400 free event. It was quite possibly one of the most exciting moments. Oh, his name is Ahmed Hafnawi. And he was in the outside lane. So if you've never partaken in swimming or know how swimming works, basically when you do your, like, time trial or whatever, to get qualified for an event, they put whoever has the fastest times in the center lanes, and then it filters out from there. So he was in the outside most lane, which means he had the slowest I know. Let me explain it. Unless you want to join us on this podcast, Joshua. You're good? Okay, then shush. This is the peanut gallery over there. But that means he had the slowest qualifying time in the semifinal. And he, the two top contenders for the race were, I think, the guy from Australia and a guy from, like, the Netherlands or something, who are, like, multi-time Olympic medalists or whatever. And this kid comes blazing out of the gate. So unprecedented that, like,
freestyle or
freestyle, yeah. Which, fun fact, in the freestyle, this is a thing that people don't know, that the freestyle does not constitute, like, the front crawl. Freestyle quite literally means you can do any stroke you want. It's just the front crawl is the easiest and the fastest. So that's why people do that. But if you wanted to, in a freestyle relay or a freestyle race, you could swim the breaststroke, butterfly, or backstroke and lose. So that's why nobody does it. But yeah, he was so unlikely to win that not a single camera focused on him until basically the last 100 meters when he started breaking away from the other swimmers. It was so freaking good. Normally, I don't, and again, I don't know if you've ever watched like a swim meet or been to a swim meet. It's the boringest. Like the most boring. Mom, I love you. Thank you so much for coming to a swim meet or two, and I am sorry because that is not a good time, but man, that was some excitement in that pool. Yay.
Oh man, like yeah, swim meets are super. Yeah, there's not much excitement unless like it's super close. But nothing is more boring than watching two heavyweight wrestlers
Just kind of like hold on to each other.
who are very tired
Yep.
go at each other for 4 minutes.
Just like yeah, that's how I feel. Our friend on Twitch says you should never count out somebody from the Skywalker home because they filmed the Lars homestead from episode 4 in Tunisia. So there you go. Fun fact. Star Wars episode 4 filmed partly in Tunisia. Learning all sorts of new things. But what I wanted to get into as we spend the first half of today's episode talking about me and my problems. Oh yeah, because of the like wrestling situation. Again, comments on Twitch. If you're not following us on Twitch, make sure you do that. So our link is right down there. But wrestling can get very boring because it feels like nothing happens, and truly nothing ever does happen.
Whoa. I mean, things happen.
Things happen. It just takes a while for it to actually happen.
Yes, you got to set up the move.
Yeah. Well, so in a similar vein, this year, actually, I think it was this year or last year, they changed the rules for fencing because a similar situation would happen where like the best fencers in the world would literally just like stand around and like play defense the entire time. So much so that like literally an entire bout would happen and not a single point was earned. So lots of changes on that end, but we're talking because I had some, I've got things to say about our girl Simone, who still the GOAT.
No matter what she decides to do, she will be.
Amen. Hallelujah. Okay, so I think what was most exciting and most unprecedented about this year's, not just necessarily this year's Olympics, but this year just from like a sports perspective. First, I want to say the average age of competitor at the Olympics this year was like 17.
Yeah, I mean, if you had anybody out there, if they had any dreams of, competing at the Olympics,
like you're late. Yeah, you're late. I mean, like going back to skateboarding, the two girls who in the women's competition, the girls who won the gold medals were both 13 years old. So like,
like what was I doing?
Right. What was I doing? Hello.
What was I doing at 13? Was I thinking like I don't even know. Like at that time when I was that age, I wasn't thinking like.
Period. I wasn't thinking. Period. Just like as a concept.
Yeah, I wasn't like watching the Olympics when I was 13 and being like, man, I'm missing my chance right now.
Yeah.
Like, like it already happened, and I look back and I'm like, wait, hold on, what? I had to be this age to do this?
Yes.
Man, and I was thinking maybe like 16, 17, 18, 19. I was like, man, I could go and do the Olympics one day.
Yes.
21. Man, I could do the Olympics one day. 22. Actually watches the Olympics. Looks that they're 13, 14. And I'm like,
man, maybe not. Man. I mean, I woke up this morning and my body hurt. So I decided maybe it's not the right time. Maybe I missed that shot a while ago. But I think what was most unprecedented is that, like, for the first time in, I want to say, like, sports history, like, athletes are actively kind of taking control and um, putting themselves and their safety and well-being and their own, like, physical, mental health first, which for is such a huge paradigm shift, and it's happened so suddenly that obviously, like, there's a whole swath of the population that takes umbrage with that fact.
People gonna hate.
Mad people are gonna hate, and they still can't even touch their toes, and y'all gonna hate. I mean, so it's one thing. Like, it'd be one thing if, like, you know, you have an athlete who, like, oh, I stubbed my toe. I stubbed my toe this morning, and I'm gonna pull out of, I don't know, what's a sport that doesn't require your toe? Archery.
Archery.
Archery or shooting, right? You pull out of that event because, like, that injury has nothing to do. But when you are an athlete of the caliber of, like, Simone Biles, or really any gymnast or any athlete where, like, your body is your, oh yeah, 100% Osaka inspired a lot of people, but, like, where your body is quite literally, like, the sport, right there.
Bread and butter.
There's so much to think about in that, right? Like, the fact that, Simone had the twisties, which we're gonna talk about that in a second, but the fact that she had that, was able to recognize it and say, like, hey, with, like, my routines and things that I do on the floor, on the different apparatuses, I guess routines, I guess we can use, that I do, it's not safe for me to compete and do these things. So I have to, like, do what's best for myself and the longevity of my career and back out. And obviously people are going to be like, well, she's just teaching people to quit. And really, no, she's not teaching people to quit. She's teaching people to take care of themselves. If we think back to, what was the 96 Olympics with Carrie Strug? So first of all, let's talk about, like, the longevity of an athlete's career, in particular for, like, girls in sports like gymnastics or figure skating, or even in dancing. And I'm talking about, like, ballet. I want to speak on, like, ballet in particular, where the average, like, lifespan, I'm going to say lifespan from, like, a career perspective of, like, any girl in those particular fields is basically from the age of 13 to about 18. Like, that is roughly how long you have to be a champion in that career, that particular thing, before, you have to retire. But here we have somebody like Simone, who's now 24. It's so weird to say that she's, like, old for her sport, but it's effectively, she's old for her sport, and she's been able to get to where she is because she does take care of herself in not just the physical way, that's one aspect of it, but she's also very cognizant of, like, her own mental well-being. And to, like, think of a competitor like Carrie Strug, who in the 1996 Olympics had a broken or, like, sprained ankle when she competed on the vault and ended up winning gold for not only herself but then for the women's gymnastics team. She ended up, like, she did that, basically shattered her ankle, and then had to retire immediately following. So if we as a society put much more emphasis on taking care of one's mental health and not feeling like we have to push ourselves to the extreme limit of what our body can physically handle, then we would see more Simone Bileses. We'd see more Naomi Osaka's. We'd see more of these like incredibly, superbly talented men and women in their sports, and not see like all of these people have to retire by the age of 17, 18 because their bodies are shattered and broken. That was a lot. That's what I've got to say. Those are my
No,
feelings.
that's it. You hit it spot on too.
And let me just say this. I'm going to call people out. I'm not going to call out people by name, but you know who you are. You're not watching this, but I'm going to just say this out loud. Might be like a 10 dance world champion out there who holds a contrary opinion on this. But you have the audacity. People have the audacity to speak ill of someone like Simone Biles, who is the most decorated, next to, I think she is the most decorated athlete of all time. You have the audacity to say that she's a quitter because she wants to continue a career, whereas you
know,
can't even touch your toes. Like, what?
I just want to know, like, why do people think that she's a quitter when she already won?
Right.
Like, she already won multiple times. Like,
Right.
she's just there to, like, she's just there to, like,
She's there. She has already shown up. She is so, let's talk about it. She is so good in the qualifiers. I don't know if you watched the qualifiers, but on her floor routine, she did her Simone Biles, which I think is a triple-double. Or a double-triple. Anyway, basically 2 backflips and 3 twists, which is like unheard of. She did it. It had so much power in it, she launched herself on her landing off of the mat entirely. Like, it's a solid, I want to say like 6 or 7 feet from the edge of the carpet to like the end of the floor itself. And she landed and launched herself off, which I want to say is upwards of like 3/4 of a point of a deduction. 0.3 out of bounds, and then a whole bunch more. And then 0.1 for every step. But she like, doo-doo-doo-doo, bam, and then was like, next level, next field, entirely another court, jumped back in, and still won.
and then, like, they have to literally ban certain things that she does.
Which is a
Other
whole
people, because it's dangerous for other people.
which is a whole nother thing. So that is a Surya Banali 2.0 sort of thing, which irks the hell out of me. And if you don't know who Surya Banali is, what? Bonali? Sorry, I'm pronouncing things incorrectly. I've got my fact checker. It's that 2. I think there's a Netflix documentary about her, which I highly recommend that you take a gander at. But basically, she was an Olympic figure skater. That she is the ice skater that did the 1-foot landing backflip. She was most well known, or kind of infamous in the figure skating world when she first started back in like the 80s, because she is a strong Black woman. And quite literally, she did not look like a typical figure skater at all. She was not like this big, like petite, very dainty. She was basically like, yeah, if you take Serena Williams and put ice skates on her, that's what she looked like. And she already kind of has those hurdles to overcome, but was so talented at skating that she was, and so physical and athletic in her skating that she was able to do like backflips, literal backflips on skates and land them so well, basically, that like the only other people who were able to do that were guys. And so she started incorporating them into her routines, and then they basically banned backflips in the sport, saying that it was too dangerous for people. I mean, like, okay. that follows. I understand that, but she basically.
I don't understand that because, like, yeah, look, you're on ice and you have blades on your feet. It's already
It's already dangerous. So what's one extra backflip? But so they banned it, and without really banning it, they basically said that you can't do a backflip because the way that people were doing their backflips is they would do them and land on both skates. When the rules are anytime you do a leap or a jump or anything, you have to land on a singular skate. So, but that's been a rule for, I think, a minute and a half. I don't know. I'm not a figure skater. However, she basically was like, okay, great. And so started doing backflips and landing them consistently. Like never fell once, would just do it, land on a singular skate, and then was basically like blacklisted, became a pariah in the whole entire skating world because of the fact that she was the only person. Not only that, but she was the only black person basically figure skating at that time and was able to do that. So, but she did make some money on Champions on Ice, so that's good. But yeah, so that's a whole thing. And so, so this whole situation with them penalizing and not giving Simone the credit that she deserves for doing all of these like tricks that people can't even do because they're weak.
Weak sauce.
100%.
If I was an athlete or somebody who did anything and did something that and did something that like nobody else can do, and other people say, "Hey, you guys can't do this because it's too dangerous." I feel like I'd be proud of myself. I'd be like, "Really? I can't do that? The one I just made up?
Nice. Great." Well, and so like with all of this, with all of these things in mind, to the naysayers who's saying like, she disappointed the team, she left the team, whatever, like the team still did great. They didn't need her. They did fine on her own. Suni Lee, who we stan, she still took gold and kicked everybody's ass. Simone came back, got bronze. So like, she wasn't needed in the team event to begin with. And I think people fail to realize that A, you're never going to be able to do any of the shit that Simone Biles is going to do. And then B, if you tried, you would die. And if she tried to do the things that she was trying to do and not able to like, this is the thing with, I'm not a gymnast by any means, but like when it comes to tumbling and doing passes and doing anything that requires like movement in air, I did dive for a short stint, you need to have an awareness of where you are and what you're doing mid-flight at all times.
Not mid-flight at all.
Just in general.
A little bit of tumble experience.
But if you are like in this situation where you're Simone Biles, you're doing some of the most difficult tricks and stunts basically in the entire world, and you lose awareness for even a microsecond, we're talking broken neck, broken bones, like death, like career-ending stuff. And y'all have people have the gall, the audacity, the gumption, the cojones to criticize. But what do I know? I mean, I'm never going to, so I can't speak on it either, but you can call people out. Here's the craziest thing with the conversation about, how I'm deathly afraid of Ferris wheels and all of this talk of, self-care, which we didn't really talk about. We just talked about how Simone is doing what she should freaking be doing. But it's a new world. People care. Yes, Joe. Yay, Joseph Daniel. Hi, Jojo. But I think what's most important for everyone to realize and everybody to remember that we're in I think we're starting to move into kind of like this new age of Aquarius sort of deal where we are, and we should be, much more focused on like one's own like mental health and mental well-being. I don't know if like people realize, and this is the sad thing, that I think people are forgetting kind of like what the pandemic has taught us is that like people need time to rest and recharge, and that like the grind, like the hustle culture is not it. Like it's not sustainable. It doesn't work. Like people need to realize that like we shouldn't be sacrificing ourselves and our minds, our bodies for what? For what? But oh my gosh, we're already at the end of this episode. That happened so quick. We didn't even do like our normal break that we do in the middle. But today's episode, that's okay. It's fine. Today's episode.
Can I say one
go ahead.
Before you do the whole
here.
Spiel?
Forget
Olympics wise.
Yeah.
Olympics wise, I still think it would be an awesome idea if we took random people. You were randomly selected.
Yes.
So, hey,
you're gonna do this event.
You've been drafted to represent the United States.
Yes.
Olympics.
A normal person in each event for reference, just to remind everybody like what's real. There's Jane trying to get up onto the pommel horse. So, but we don't send them into the Olympics just like blind. They get like a couple of weeks of just like training, so that way they know what to do.
No, they get like maybe 4 to 8 lessons.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean. That's what I mean. Is like you get like a little bit of training, so that way, like in the events that like require things. I'm thinking like artistic swimming, which is the renamed version of synchronized swimming. But artistic swimming, or even like the gymnastics things, or like speed skating, really anything, like just a little bit of like beforehand. It's kind of like Dancing with the Stars. Give them like a week's worth of training and information, and then say, all right, here you go. Or just make the Try Guys do them every single event.
I would watch that.
They have already done artistic swimming and rhythmic gymnastics, which is real. They're really fun. But okay, so we've got okay, so today's episode, because we missed all of this, is hashtag not sponsored by Black Girls Code. We are, it's a organization that's all about changing the face of technology and training 1 million girls by 2040 to lead, innovate, and create in science, tech, engineering, and math, all of the STEM fields, which up to this point in time / the world has been predominantly a white male space. So there's the reason why I chose this one, just so we all know, there's a whole thing with Blizzard Activision, and I've been a huge Blizzard game fan. I've never really been a Blizzard company fan, but a Blizzard game fan for a very long time. And so
what is it? Their
CEO just stepped down. Their like head of HR just backed out. They also did badminton, fencing, and taekwondo. Badminton, probably one of the best sports out there. But so because of all of this nonsense that's going on with Blizzard, Activision Blizzard, whatever, figured it's a great time to donate to Black Girls Code at blackgirlscode.com. So head over there, make sure you donate and help out. Every little bit is helpful. And then a huge shout out to all of our Patreon supporters. You're going to get a little bit of our practice footage from Gary and I trying to figure out how to dance things and stuff together. maybe not the end of today's video, but the beginning of it. So head over to patreon.com/next to the floor and become one of our patron supporters. That would be fantastic. Or you can just, subscribe, get yourself or gift a subscription to our Twitch. Our Next to the Floor page isn't affiliated yet, but mine is XXHJXX. I should put that somewhere on here, just so that the people know. But head over to our Twitch and, support us any which way you can. So thank you all so much for tuning in, listening to the ramblings of two people who will likely never be in the Olympics ever.
I was just about to say that. I get so many questions about, like, when is dancing gonna be, ballroom dancing gonna be in the Olympics? I'm like,
It won't.
It won't. Stop asking me.
Stop asking. So, however, breakdancing will be in the 2024 Paris Olympics. So tune in to breakdancing in 2024. And the reason why ballroom... Bjorn. Oh, check out... Yeah, I know. This has been up here the entire time. Check out the rockdance.com. That's our friend Bjorn's business dance enterprise. They're really taking off, so check them out at therockdance.com. Remember that Black Lives always matter, and that ballroom dancing will never be an Olympic sport, simply because the officials who and adjudicators for different competitions are also able to compete and also work with the competitors, so it's hard to find a subjective group. The ballroom world is all sort of incestual, but
it's super political and incestual.
Yeah. So there it is. Well, thank you all so much for joining in and tuning in and being fantastic, fabulous, amazing people. Remember, it costs you $0 to be a good person. Black lives always matter, period, end of statement. And that's it. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Take care then. Bye-bye now. Goodbye. Goodbye. Bye. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye. Goodbye. Goodbye. Bye now.